everyone. We are going to get started. My recommendation, as everyone's getting into their lunch, I would invite you to open your chip bag now or crack your soda open. I am so excited about our speakers today. A lot of folks who have come in have expressed the same, so just want to make sure everything runs perfectly. Thank you so much for being here. I don't know who else is really grateful for this cooler weather this morning, but I am feeling really relieved. And if you all would indulge me, if just kind of coming back together after we haven't had a forum in July, hoping everyone's been on a good vacation this summer. Can you raise your hand if you are coming back from a vacation or you've gone on one this summer? Yes? Okay, I'm seeing some of you not raising hands, so hopefully you have that planned in August. I am so excited about our presentation today. We are, as always, addressing important issues here in Lancaster at the Hourglass. And today we are talking about some workforce continuum efforts through the Lancaster Chamber. Lancaster's workforce faces unique challenges in the coming years. As we look ahead, we anticipate an aging workforce, a wave of retirees, as well as stagnant population growth, and room for improvement about how we're attracting and retaining talent here in Lancaster. And for those of us who live and work here in Lancaster, I know we're all really proud of our quality of life and the experience that we have here. So part of that question then becomes, how do we communicate that to other people and kind of invite them into this experience that we're having? Luckily, Lancaster is a place with solution-focused leadership. Today, we're hearing from Crouser and Maya Fenner from the Lancaster Chamber to talk about two different initiatives through the Lancaster Chamber. You all might be familiar with the Discovering Paths Mentoring program through the Chamber that pairs working professionals with high school juniors. So they'll talk a little bit about that program as well and just sort of what they're looking for. But then also, we're going to be talking about Land in Lancaster, a new tool that will be helping recruit and attract talent here. So I will leave it to them to really talk about those programs. But before we dive in, I want to thank our First Friday Forum sponsors, Rogers and Associates, Millersville and the Ware Center for hosting us, and Shoemaker, as always, for our live streaming services. So I will pass it over to you. Round of applause for our speakers today. Thank you so much.
I was silly and didn't print out my notes, so we're just going to laptop it a little bit today. But thank you so much for having us. We really appreciate it. The ability to share kind of what the Lancaster Chamber is doing, and from a workforce perspective, there are tons of us at the table, and we're all rowing in the same direction, which is really nice. I will tell you from my experience with other communities across the nation, other groups that have chambers and workforce development boards and all of these people at the table, it doesn't run this smoothly everywhere. And so we kind of want to showcase a little bit of what our continuum looks like, what our lane looks like, and the ability for your organizations, companies, individuals to participate in some of this as well. So thank you so much for having it. My name is Molly Crouser. I'm the Director of Events and Partnerships at the Lancaster Chamber. That's a lot of different things, but I lead the team that does all of our events and programs, about 150 throughout the year, sponsorships, and then I also work in this workforce space, and I lead the team that does that work too. And this is Maya. She's our workforce and education. You don't have a mic. You're a workforce and educations manager. So she'll talk a little bit more about Discovering Paths and what she does when she comes up here. But I wanted to give you a little bit of some context of maybe how we got to where we are or why we are in the place that we are as someone who can be helpful in this workforce space. So Lancaster County, we have a strategic plan just launched in the early part of 2025, a new one that looks at 3 really bold goals. By 2035, we will be the best place to live in Pennsylvania. We will be recognized business environment for innovation, success, and growth. And we want to be a unified community where every person thrives. This is not alone. This is not work that we're doing alone. It's just big vision goals that we have as how the business community can help be a part of reaching some of those goals. So those are kind of our we will statements. Just to give you some idea, our vision, mission, Lancaster County is a thriving community for all. You can read the mission there. And then we do this strategic plan with two specific lenses. One is a community-wide focus, so we apply the lens of inclusion and equity to our efforts. And then the second is a county-wide impact, because we are the regional Lancaster County Chamber, and so we want to make sure that everybody feels, whether you're in Manheim, Southern Lancaster County, or Lancaster City, you feel invested in the work that we're doing as a member or as a community business member. So that kind of gives you a sense of that. Within that is 5 strategic directions. I won't read all of those. The one I do want to talk a bit about is that cultivated dynamic workforce, because that's where a lot of this space lives. And it lives with its own plan called Workforce Reimagined. And that's based on 3 principles. 3 areas where we know we can help build impact and where our business community can step in to support that workforce and reimagining how we do workforce in this community. So we want to position Lancaster County as a thriving talent hub. We want to foster future talent, and we want to empower and upskill current employees. So all of what we do from a workforce perspective, and actually from a general chamber perspective, runs through these 3 pillars. So if you see professional development, if you see networking, that's all empowering and upskilling those current employees. Fostering future talent, we'll get to in a second with a Discovering Paths mentoring program. And then our newest one, which is really bold of us to have, kind of stepped into what does it look like to become a thriving talent hub. And some of that means bringing new people into this community. And how do we do that, and how do we share that message, like Leah said. So just to give you a sense of what this looks like for the chamber, we wanted to pull together kind of what does the continuum look like. So you'll see early childhood and child care. We do a lot of work in advocacy on that. As well, it was included in the governor's budget, a significant portion of dollars, unheard of amount of dollars for childcare, and we were a part of a collective unit of people working towards advocating for childcare dollars in the budget. The business and education partnerships, Discovering Paths. We also do a lot of work with Inspire Lancaster and Maya, which is a platform to connect schools to businesses to make it really easy for you all to participate with students and have them be able to experience your business and your professional life. We have a next gen mentoring programs, and then we'll talk a little bit about Land in Lancaster as well as our Young Professionals Network, which Maya also is in charge of. I don't know how to say that. In charge of felt weird, but so we do work with higher education institutions. During COVID, this meeting came out, college presidents, so we gather all 13 colleges and universities and institutions of higher education to meet quarterly, and we usually present some type of thing to them or bring some person in to talk about it, and this is really the only time all of those college presidents gather together, and so that was a really unique opportunity for us to do that from a community perspective, but then also from a business community perspective and a talent perspective too. And then we have partnerships with colleges and universities, Elizabethtown College, F&M, Thaddeus Stevens, Millersville, and several healthcare institutions. I'll talk about that in a second. And then incumbent workforce training, which is our soft skills training, new manager academies. We have a partnership with eTown to do eTown Edge, which is online and digital learning, industry peer groups, all of those types of things that gather to the incumbent workforce, to the current workforce, and how do we help upskill them into that space. The 2 we want to focus on today, though, are the Discovering Paths and Land in Lancaster. So I am going to pass it to my colleague, Maya, who's going to talk a little bit about Discovering Paths mentoring program and how you can get involved.
Hello, everybody. I'm so glad to be speaking here with you all today. Is this loud enough? Sometimes I'm not. Okay, there we go. But a little bit more about my role, like Molly mentioned. I'm the Workforce and Education Initiatives Coordinator. So I primarily work on business education partnerships, largely through our Discovering Paths program, but I also work with the STEM Alliance on Inspire Lancaster and our Young Professionals programming, as Molly also mentioned. So I'm really excited to talk to you all a little bit about Discovering Paths today. Is it the middle button? Okay. So we know that businesses can't thrive without people, and the workforce challenges that we see and talk about locally aren't going away on their own, but we also know that Lancaster is nowhere near short on potential. We have students that are full of ambition, talent, but many of them might not know just what's possible for them here yet. So Discovering Paths can kind of help them connect those dots between who they are, what they're learning, and how they can succeed right here in their own community, thus strengthening your businesses as employers as well. And so what Discovering Paths is the Lancaster Chamber's career exploration and mentoring program. We partner with 20 school districts across the county. We have 16 public schools and 4 private schools. We have 140 students participating in the program. We pair each of those students on a one-to-one basis with a mentor who's a local professional. So we're always looking for volunteers to serve as mentors, and I'll talk a little bit more about ways to engage in this way in a little bit. But we recognize how critical these connections and mentorship are for setting students up for success. Mentoring can be a way to build your own network and also make this lasting impact. And I'm sure many of you here today can think on a past experience or a current experience with mentors that have left a positive impact on you. And so throughout the program's 10 structured sessions, you walk alongside your student, you provide insight, you ask questions, you give advice, and each of these out-of-school sessions is focused on a career cluster that's relevant to Lancaster County. So we do a session on STEM, healthcare and human services, hospitality, entertainment, arts, and tourism, which we're coining as HEAT, that's a new thing for us, education, public service, and the nonprofit sector, skilled trades, business, entrepreneurship, and professional services. So overall, trying to strengthen the workforce pipeline by starting with the emerging workforce and highlighting the robust and expansive business community that does exist here. We focus, that was a little bit about what the program is, but I always like to talk a little bit about why we do this and what we hope to achieve. And so throughout the program, we're focused on 5 key outcomes, and with those being to expand participants' understanding of the career options that do exist in Lancaster County that also are within high demand and local industries, enhancing students' workplace readiness skills, connecting students to at least 2 work-based learning opportunities. The students are all required to complete 2 job shadows throughout the program, and they often do more than that. Also with the goal to increase students' awareness of post-secondary educational options, and creating a connection between local business professionals and students through this one-on-one mentoring relationship. And we survey our participants year after year, and we're proud to see these improvements. Oh, these are the numbers, well, you can't see them, from last year, and overall just showcasing that before the program, the areas in which we survey them always show a consistent improvement by the end. So before the program, we asked our respondents if they felt like they had a good or significant understanding of the career options that are available to them, and that we got a response of 50%. But after the program, that number increased to 93% of respondents reporting a good or significant understanding of career options available to them. Same sort of pattern when we asked if they understood what career pathways existed in those in-demand industries. We got a reporting of 27% before the program, and afterwards increasing to 87% of respondents understanding these career pathways. When we look at the workplace readiness skills that we focus on throughout the program, which we take from the CRL's high 5 skills being communication, problem solving, integrity, teamwork, and resilience, asking them how strongly they felt about demonstrating those skills. We saw a report of 53%, and afterwards seeing that increase to 93% of respondents feeling confident in demonstrating those skills. 46% of respondents reported a good or strong awareness of the educational options available in the community, and post-program, that increased up to 89% of respondents reporting a good or strong awareness. And overall, we've gotten a rating of 4.6 out of 5 stars on the mentor-student pairing or relationship experience overall. And so we're proud of these numbers. And but we also understand what matters a lot is what students are able to walk away with, this sense of confidence, direction, and the belief that there is a future here for them. And so since launching 17 years ago, Discovering Paths has made this measurable impact, but we always like to hear directly from participants. Wow, that was nice. Those were the numbers. And so here are just some words right from participants. I'm not going to read them word for word, but the first one here was a mentor reporting that she was able to see the confidence in her mentee grow in every session, and that it was just overall a really rewarding experience. And then the rest here are from students noting that they were able to see the vast extent of the number of jobs that are available to them in Lancaster County, and that the program is able to teach them skills, which has helped them to be more prepared for the future. Another one here saying they knew what they wanted to do, but they just weren't sure how to go about it, and the program was able to connect them to people who were able to solidify that interest and reduce any anxiety they had about that search. And just overall the support that they've had from their mentors and the ability to increase their resilience, open-mindedness, and to ultimately be successful. And I also recognize here that we have a few people in the room that have been participants in the program in some way. And so could you just raise your hands if you've participated in any way? Cool. And we told Tim we were going to call on him. So if, Tim, you have any words or any experience you'd like to share with the program?
Well, I think outside noise. It's been incredible. I've been doing this now. 3 years ago, I started. And they asked me to speak at one of the events, and it was 160 students from over 16 school districts. Was pretty impressive to me. Anyway, then I joined in about 2 years ago, so I've been a mentor now for the last 3 years. I signed up again to do it this year. It's an incredible program, what they got going on. And I've had 2 mentees that are CV juniors, Conestoga Valley, that's my alma mater, 88, all right, CV 88. But yeah, and it's just, I still communicate with these young men, and it's really been a positive impact on them. And it's a positive impact on all the students, and the mentors get a lot out of it. So thanks for creating this 17 years ago. And I know you just merged, 3-4 years ago to have men and women, or young boys and girls together.
Yeah,
so, yep.
It started out as a program for young women in business, and then there was a young men's program, and then a few years ago made the decision to merge the two because it turned more into a focus on career exploration as a whole. Just a little background on that. But would anyone else feel like they want to share if they've been involved in the program? No pressure, but there were more of you here than I thought. I don't mind. Oh, sure.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Sarah Kemble with Leadership Lancaster. I am a Penn Manor grad. Go Penn Manor. Whoop, whoop. Keeping the trend going here. But yeah, the program is really amazing. I was first a mentor in 2020. And I got to experience, my first experience was like that COVID year. I also had my first daughter at that time, so I took a step back and then revisited this past year with Discovering Paths. But the program is the program that I wish I would have had in high school, just because me growing up south end of the county, 2 parents who worked blue collar type jobs, I just had no idea, and obviously it worked out well with where I am now, but I just had no idea like what my options even were with education, with my career. It was always just the push of, well, we got to go to college, without having that background knowledge of a different path or different options. And kudos to the chamber team. It is so well organized. Each session that I've been to is incredibly impactful, and a lot of times even I'm pulling little nuggets away, something new that I've learned too. So again, I just really encourage you, if this is something that speaks to you, that you want to give back, just to get involved. It's a wonderful program.
Thank you both for sharing. And so I'd like to highlight a little bit more how you all can fit into this as I wrap up here. As you can notice, Discovering Paths kind of takes a village, as we like to say, and I'd like to share these 5 tangible ways that you and your organization could get involved in Discovering Paths. The first one being, and one of the most impactful ways, as you've seen, is to engage as a mentor. When you sign up as a mentor, you're paired 1-to-1. You walk alongside your student throughout the program, helping them reflect on their interests, learn how to be in a professional environment, make these connections between who they are and what they're able to do. And I also like to note that this doesn't take hours of preparation or weekly meetings. It's structured and supported by our team here with specific touch points built in. And also for many students, this is the first time they'll be having a relationship with a professional outside of their school or their families, and that connection can be really invaluable and open doors in ways that we don't always realize. The second one being in another high impact way is hosting job shadows. In general, these work-based learning opportunities are really impactful for students. It's the opportunity for them to see beyond the title of a job and what the day in the life actually entails. And these experiences can often become light bulb moments for students, and something can click and they can see themselves having these occupations post high school. And that kind of clarity is also really useful. Facilitating activities is another way to bring your work to life for students. In this context, it means offering like a presentation or a demonstration, something hands-on that brings what your job entails to students. And if we're looking at healthcare, maybe something like offering a blood pressure workshop, or if you work in the trades, demonstrating how to work with certain tools, or if you're a designer, walking through the stages of a creative project. Things that aren't necessarily too flashy, but show the realistic elements of your jobs. Because the more we can expose students to the work happening in Lancaster's businesses, the more we can help them picture themselves in these spaces. We also host career fairs with a bit of a twist. They're industry specific and focused on real conversations. The students come prepared and ready to engage with professionals, and we encourage participating employees to share what's unique about their field, what they might be looking for in future hires or interns down the line. It's a great way to plant a seed for future interest and could spark ideas students might not have thought about before. And it's a lot about visibility and connection. And finally, we're always so grateful to the individuals and businesses who choose to support the program as sponsors, because we're proud to offer Discovering Paths at no cost to students or schools. And we also want to emphasize that this program is not revenue generating for us at the Chamber. Every dollar that comes in goes directly to the program, covering program logistics, venues, meals, materials, and sponsorship also allows us to remove these barriers to participation and ensure that students from every district and background can access these experiences equally. So support in any form contributes to the strength and the wide reach of this initiative. And so whether you're looking to give back as a mentor, open your doors for a job shadow, or simply tell your organization's story to a new audience, there's a place for you in Discovering Paths. And we'd love to talk to you more about anyone interested in exploring what that could look like. And if you're not sure where to start, we'd also be happy to have a conversation about that as well. Because at the end of the day, this program isn't just about students. It's about building a community that sees, supports, and invests in the next generation of Lancaster's workforce. And that is also part of a bigger picture. Whether you're 17 or 25 or 53, we want you to see Lancaster as a place to build your future. And so with that, I'd like to thank you for your time today and pass it back over to Molly, who's going to talk a little bit more about land in Lancaster.
Amazing. She did this segue yesterday, and I was like, wow, what a great way to segue into the next part of what we want, this continuum element. So, you know, they went to college, they were participating in a mentoring program 4 years ago. They're making a decision about where are they coming after school, or they go to Millersville and they're whatever. And as of now, we have no collective language around what that looks like. We have a really wonderful Discover Lancaster who talks about visiting and staying here for periods of time. They've been an awesome partner on this project, but no collective language about how we talk about Lancaster County, because we live here and we know what it feels like to live here. And so just want to spend a little bit of time talking to you about that. You also can rope me if time, whatever. Okay, great. We worked with a lot of county partners on this. EDC has been a part of it. You can flip back to my slides, sorry, if you don't mind. Yeah, thanks, sorry. EDC has been a part of it, Discover Lancaster, Lancaster City Alliance. Everybody's been at the table and supportive of the project. We've kind of all, STEM Alliance, Workforce Development Board, everybody's been around and said, okay, great. So we know we need this, now what? And that's what also we said about 2.5 years ago is when we started initially talking about it. We had an intern 2.5 years ago when we said, what is the language we're even trying, what are we even trying to share? And that person developed a 100-page document of all of the things about Lancaster County. It was amazing. It was an amazing place for us to start, down to millage rates, which was wild. We were like, you didn't maybe have to go that far, but she got a really great experience out of it, so which worked out really well for us. But really looked at what is this that we want to share. And so just to give you a little sense of where we're at from a workforce, we talked about this a little bit. Leah mentioned it in the beginning. Workforce has always been an issue. It has been for the last probably 20 plus years. And here's the set of challenges we're currently looking at. We have an aging population and a retirement wave. It's happening now. It's going to get worse in the next 5 years. We have a stagnant population growth. Lancaster County is in the first stagnant population growth since the 1920s. We have an outmigration of talent. We have 13 universities and institutions of higher education in Lancaster County, and we still don't have them staying here. And also our folks who we do have here are leaving. So they're going to college, university, or they're leaving this town and not coming back here at any given point. Child care and transportation access. Changing workplace expectations has really shifted it. Remote work, hybrid work, what does that look like? And then housing affordability and availability. We don't shy away from, we know that this is an issue. And so those are kind of what we're working with from a greater workforce challenge. I was recently at a conference, and DCI, which does destination, I don't know what DCI stands for, destination marketing, essentially. They've worked into this workforce space, so not just destination from a visiting perspective, but destination as a place to come and live. And they gave us some statistics that were really interesting. 70% of young professionals say they're more likely to stay in a community if they feel truly connected to it. 76% of talent consults relocation marketing materials during their relocation process. And over 60% of job seekers, they say they consider quality of life as one of their top decision factors for relocation. And those other topic factors include cost of living, proximity, quality health care, housing of cost and availability, and a work-life balance. Do these things sound familiar to you as the things that we get to enjoy all of the time of residence here in Lancaster County? And they're the top things people are looking for when they're choosing a new destination or choosing a job in some other community or market. And so they should sound familiar because that's our competitive edge. This is our value proposition of Lancaster County. Our cost of living is generally low, or lower than other markets, and certainly from those that we'd be pulling talent from for the industries that we're needing the talent in. We have job availability and career growth. We have currently a really low unemployment rate, but there's 2.4 jobs for every person that needs a job right now in Lancaster County. So the job availability is there, and the career growth is there, and the industry growth is here too. We've got lifestyle amenities, the things we enjoy on the weekends, during the week, the community we build, the sense of community and connectedness that we have. We all know it exists, but how do we share that to other people? And then the access and proximity to the East Coast and beyond, which is interestingly one of the top things that we've come out from this is we're 2.5 hours from the beach. We're within, We're within 6 hours of 48% of the nation's population. A 6-hour drive, 48% of the nation's population, and not to bun on Canada, but we're like 6-hour drive of also 40% of their population too, or something like that, but we'll just stick to the East Coast. But we really have this great proximity. That's what makes industry so great here, but that's also what makes it really ease of access for people to live here and be able to also get the amenities that they're looking for elsewhere. So how will Land in Lancaster support talent attraction? Well, it is 3 parts. It's a website and a brand and resources. We do this in 2 really strong ways. Our goals, I should say, providing employer recruitment support. We want to be a partner with everybody's company's recruitment plans, the way that they do recruitment and retention. And you'll see a little bit of that when I talk about employer resources. And then we are going to move into, and we have actually already started, you will never see it, similar to Discover Lancaster. Well, also, I've been seeing some of those now on Hulu, which is funny. I think they just know that I'm looking at everything related to Lancaster County. But you may not see that organic target approach because it's not here. We're not trying to get you to live here. You already do. So our targeted approach, or kind of organic and targeted approach for advertising, is in other markets. And I'll talk a little bit about that too. So you may not see it, but it's happening already. And so that's our other one, is really try to get other people outside of our area to see Lancaster County as a place to come and live. But I went backwards, my bad. Now you can go to the website. So I'm so excited. This launched 2 weeks ago. I think we posted about it today for the first time. So we're very, very excited to share with you the Land in Lancaster brand and website and some of those resources that we talked about. So it's called Land in Lancaster. You can do all of the things with that, right? We've got wonderful land, but also we want you to land here as part of your career and lifestyle goals. So he's going down, which is great. We have this really awesome map that's interactive, and so you can see different parts. This was done in conjunction with friends at Discover Lancaster and the County of Lancaster. We looked at what their maps looked like and determined ours based on that. So the Riverlands, the Gateway, which is access to Route 76, the countryside, our tourism and attractions corridor, which has a lot more going on, our urban and suburban center, our quaint historic town. So really trying to give character and a name to the character we know already exists in Lancaster County. And so that interactive map gives kind of places we love and things we like to do in those areas. We also really want this to be visual. We want to show what it's like to live in Lancaster. I think we can all sit here and say that the perception from outside is that it is Amish. We know that, right? This website says the word Amish one time on it. We acknowledge that it exists, right? And it will showcase that in the countryside. But for so many of us, the Amish are a part of why people come here to visit, but they're not the reason we're here. We're here for the ag. We're here for the really great farmers markets and fresh produce that we get. And so that's what we like to showcase as part of that character area, is really we have small, really beautiful towns that are the best in the country. And we've got beer fests and we've got hiking trails and all of those things, but we really want to do it visually as well. So then we'll go to land a place. We talk about it in three main areas: land a place, land a job, land a lifestyle. So land a place gives more of a sense of, you can keep going through. We could do some testimonials for people from out of the area. Looks at cost of living in a really fun way. We're gonna breeze through this because I want you to explore it. Talks about the 10 most populated towns, so you get a sense of what each of those feels like. We have an educational map that's interactive and integrated from Google that shows you all the educational institutions, healthcare, government, voting, all of the information that someone might want to know if they're deciding whether they want to live here or not. And then we'll go to land a job, which really looks at why should they relocate here for work? This is what this is about, right? Somebody's not going to move here unless they have a job or are looking for a job. There's really high statistics in the 76% of people aren't going to move somewhere unless they have a job. And so how do we highlight that? So we looked at the industries that are hiring, healthcare being one of the top. The reason for this is it is one of the top. We have a nursing shortage. We're working on CNAs. We got seed money through a healthcare collaborative to do this entire project. So we got a grant from the Department of Labor and Industry last year for $600,000 that went towards a healthcare collaborative. A whole piece of that is being done right now, working with institutions and with our healthcare institutions on that healthcare collaborative, very specifically pipelining talent. But we were able to earmark a part of that to do this because we wanted to showcase that healthcare was a highly sought after industry. Manufacturing, distribution, tourism, just really showcasing and trying to link to other things. You'll notice you'll start seeing a lot of links here. We don't want to be a place where we have to change a lot of this information. We want you all to tell your own stories. And so how do we make sure that somebody knows that you can work in ag at the Wanger Group, ag industry, but you go look at what Wanger Group has to offer. And so really trying to link that. You'll see that throughout. And then down below a little bit, you'll see the job board. It does connect currently to the Chamber's job board, but we've also linked Indeed and the PA Career Link on there as other avenues for ways to get people to see jobs. When you click on the Indeed and the PA Career Link, they're specific to Lancaster County. So we've been able to kind of work that in there. Ideally, we get to an Indeed job board that auto-populates here, but for right now, we're doing this. So if you have jobs in your businesses, please put them on this job board or Indeed. And then we'll work through professional life a little bit. What does it feel like to work here, to live here, to be involved in professional life here? And then Land to Lifestyle looks at what does creating a life here look like? What does the everyday look like? And so it's the things that make us, that are popular, right? So we have food scene and nightlife. This is all interactive. Again, really links out so you can see all of the things we have to offer here in Lancaster County. Cafe culture, sweet treats, markets and grocery. We had a really interesting conversation with a board member at one point who is actually not from the area and originally came here, and his wife had asked, is there a Wegmans? That was a key part of moving here, was like, do I have the amenities that I currently have, and will I want those? So we've been able to showcase a lot of that kind of thing too, that like, yeah, also we have a Chili's. 5. No, we don't have that yet, so maybe they'll see this and want to bring it this way. They'll want to see, they'll be on this website, that's what it is. But really trying to showcase this like really natural, like creating life opportunity. You can keep going through. So we look at food and nightlife, arts and culture, outdoor recreation, sports and wellness, and then we look at community and community building, community and culture. And there's links to all of these things. Again, we want people to see themselves as like, oh, I like doing this. I like doing, look who's there. Oh my gosh. It's like she filled out the survey 10 months ago. So she's a transplant, she's a returner. So we wanted to make sure we could highlight stories of people who are transplants here or returning here from coming from outside of lived here, left here, and came back here. And then it goes through some volunteering opportunities and again, ways to get connected. And the last thing I'll show you on the website is our employer resources. I mentioned this as a big key piece of what this looks like, is we would like to be integrated into the talent attraction or recruitment process of companies across Lancaster County. It can be simple. Link us. Link the website and all of your things. What's it like to live in Lancaster County? It can be very simple. We have a user guide of how to use it, but we also have branded items. You can brand your own. We want this to be something that employers are utilizing. There's talking points about how do I tell people. There's email templates. How do I make sure that somebody knows if I'm trying to attract them that they should come here, and what am I supposed to say? That's all included on our employer resources page. So lots of really great resources there that are ready and also continually changing and updating and adding to. Since 2 weeks ago, I think we've added like 3 things. And then frequently asked questions, which I'll let you guys dig into those. Usually those are not for people who are from outside of the area, but hey, we don't have any housing. Why are you trying to bring more people here? Great question. We're working through it. And it says a little bit about that kind of thing inside that FAQs. You can head back to the presentation if you'd like. Thank you. So who are we talking to? We first initially went with the early career professionals, emerging talent. That was really our goal. We have 13 colleges and universities. We know that people are making decisions in that young part of life as to what resources they're looking for, who they're looking to be around, coming back for family, things like that. And then interestingly enough, as we continued to talk about it, we talked to a lot of larger companies who are having difficulty retaining executive talent. And part of that is trailing families. And so the 2 key elements for us are the early career professionals that we have a lot of could have a really great traction with, but also executive level professionals. And how do we have them see themselves and their families or their spouses or their partners that are coming along see a life there as well? We've heard a couple stories where they'll live here for 3 days or 4 days a week, and then they'll go back to New Jersey on the weekends. Well, that's not great retention for a larger company to only have them for 4 days a week. There's a much higher chance that they're gonna end up leaving 2-3 years after they arrive. So to create some stickiness and create some retention specifically for that executive level is why we've added that in there. So a lot of the wording we've used is both of those audiences in mind. Not an easy task, because they do want some different things, but really tried to incorporate both of those audiences as we've continued through. So I keep going back. My bad, I'm so sorry, guys. So who's going to use it? Employers and partners, you all across, sharing it out to your HR teams or yourselves or people that you know that you want to come and move here. And then also those newcomers and relocation candidates that come a little bit more organically to the work that we're doing or to the website. We have a whole set of other partners, real estate developers. Lancaster City Alliance is doing some work on their marketing ELT around filling apartment buildings that are coming in to the city. So we're also involved in some of those partnerships as well. So what's the general plan here right in the beginning? next Wednesday, August 6th, we have an HR roundtable that's HR roundtable-ish. We just kind of hijacked our HR roundtable to do an info session. So if you know of anybody who's interested, I have a code we'd be happy to send out so that you get it free or really reduced discount on attending that. We're also going to do several industry-specific workshops, and those will be free, so informational sessions about how to utilize it. Email campaigns. We also have an opportunity for people to give us their emails if they're interested in learning more about what's going on in Lancaster. So we'll be able to kind of continually touch base with potential candidates. Organic social media, paid social media, earned media and partnerships. And then we are working, Donovan Advertising is who did this brand and website with us. And we'll be optimizing SEO using them. So they're actually going to be a partner on this month over month and optimizing that SEO so we're in the right markets. That's not helpful because I didn't push there. There you go. What's the plan? So that's what we're looking at in the first kind of course of 6 months here. There's plenty of ways to engage. Follow and share, leverage your social networks or local networks. Invite us to speak. We'd love to come and talk about to your HR teams or whoever might have interest. Please let us know if there's testimonials or success stories you know about. And then employers specifically, we want to be featured on your career page. We want highlighting and recruitment, or we want to be a part of that completely. And then I would be remiss if I didn't also ask and let you know about what it's like to become an employer partner. We had the seed money, really wonderful. That's how we got this started. It was first going to start as a pamphlet that was going to be chamber branded. It's very specifically not chamber branded because it's not meant to be ours. It's meant to be the community's. But it will take dollars to do some of that paid marketing and paid advertising and to optimize some of those marketing materials. So we are seeking employer partners to sign on for a 3-year contract. It's really not a big cost. We're hoping to get 10 of those over the course of the next 6 to 8 months. So if your company, it does have interest in supporting this, there's also a lot of really great ways that we will do some concierging and curating of packages that make sense for your company. So if you're interested in doing that, let me know because I'd be happy to kind of talk through that a little bit. We're all the way down here, which is, let's chat. Here's the QR code to it. We are on Instagram and LinkedIn, as well as you can email workforce@lancasterchamber.com if you have any interest in learning more or have any questions. Also myself and Maya, mostly myself on this, have our emails up here at the end. But really just wanted to give the opportunity for you to go directly to the land in Lancaster. So we're very excited about it. We've launched the website. We're really into this employer adoption portion of time. We're looking for funding sources, and we've really started that marketing plan. So we are up and running and going, and we're very excited to finally have something to share with you and that all of our employers and community members can also use as part of their tactics. So thank you for learning a little bit more about land in Lancaster. Whatever. You don't have to clap. It's okay. Time-wise, how are we doing? Okay. Yeah, maybe just like 3 minutes. So part of this is really helpful. Both of these processes, both the Discovering Paths and Land in Lancaster, are really employer-driven. Employer-driven by feedback, by meetings, by conversations, by surveying of the needs of employers. And yet, we have struggled with sometimes employer buy-in. And so what's the barrier? And then what prevents young talent from envisioning a future here, which kind of goes to both. We would love to spend 3 to 4 minutes of you talking to each other a little bit about this, and then we'll come back and do maybe some shout-outs a little bit. But if you guys can talk to each other a little bit about these 2 questions, it doesn't have to be both, it can be both and, that would be great, and then we'd love to hear from you. So we'll do that in about 3 minutes. Go. All right. I would love to hear, I know, once you get started, you just can't stop. I would love to hear, I've got a pretty loud outdoor voice too, Tim Lapp. I would love to hear from a couple people if you have any thoughts about either one of the questions or both of the questions or anything that you kind of came up with.
Dr. McSparron and I had a heated discussion, pleasantly heated, about something you said very early on changing workplace expectations. And whether it meant the workplace is changing what it expects of employees, or whether employees are changing what they expect from the workplace. And what at least I'm seeing is some of those employee changed expectations don't comport with reality. If you have a medical practice or I have a law firm, we have to do what our patients or our clients need when they need it. We can't schedule it around somebody else's lifestyle.
I think it's both and, from our perspective. We see both sides of it. It's both and. It's both ways. We're seeing it happening in both ways.
So I like Leah, am a returner, right?
Welcome back.
Thank you. Well,
thanks for returning. Thanks for landing here in Lancaster.
I returned 10 years ago, but thank you for the warm welcome. But there's just so many people like us, right, who move away, have experiences in education and in big cities, and then come back here. And I feel like, to me, it would be really nice for that to be a really well-defined and talked about pathway. Like, yeah, we know you want to go live in New York in your 20s. Great. Then come back. It's like, it's not quite at that level of the executives that you're talking about, but it's people who are bringing back, talent and skills that they learned from businesses that don't exist here.
Yeah.
So I think that having that as a well-worn pathway is really advantageous.
Cool. I like that. Abby, or could you take a note? Yolanda and Abby are here from our team also, and I don't have a piece of paper or a pen, so if you don't mind, that would be great. I love that idea. I think there's some opportunity there.
Great presentation. A suggestion to answer that question, it involves some money. And that's doing some research and looking at people who are graduating or who've been out 3 or 4 years and puzzling through that question.
Which question? Sorry.
Which is, what prevents young talent from envisioning a future here? Like, why didn't you stay? Or what's the likelihood, you're 4 years out that you're thinking of coming back?
Yeah.
If so, why?
Yeah.
And somebody can donate money for you to pay for that.
Donate money for yes. I mean, I think we know what it is. They don't have connection. Like, it's the exact reason we have Discovering Paths, because there's infrastructure is not there to have them want to come back. Other than family, we have pockets of kids who we had a kid from Ephrata 2 years ago who had never eaten salmon until they came to the Discovering Paths program. They've never stepped out of Ephrata until they came to the Discovering Paths program. And so you have pockets of kids who, if they're leaving and they're coming back, they don't know what exists in Lancaster County. They know what existed in their home. I'm also a returner. I went to Lampeter Strasburg, a rural community, and I left and I said, bye, I'm never coming back here. Until I came back here as a 21-year-old, and now I've had all these experiences and different things, and I saw a world that looked different than the one that I left. And so I think some of that is exposure, and how do we keep exposing students to that? There's certainly, of course, we could throw some money at some research, but I think one of the core things is getting our students at a younger age exposed to the things across Lancaster County, not just in their pockets of influence.
I think we could shift to
Questions?
questions.
Any questions related to Land in Lancaster or Discovering Paths? There we go. I was like, I'm not good at silence, so somebody better raise their hand soon.
I just also reflecting on my experience. I went away to school. I graduated during the Great Recession with a degree in finance, and did not plan on coming back here in any way. But the community I moved back to was very different than it was now. And the part of, why I love Lancaster so much is that in very small ways, I've been able to contribute to that in a way that I would not have in a larger, more urban city. I served on the Lancaster City Planning Commission. Had I actually gotten any of those jobs in Manhattan, that wouldn't have happened, right? So the part the part of the story I tell when I go outside of Lancaster is the community and being a part of something, bigger than yourself that I get the chance to do here. So
That's awesome.
I'm glad I'm here. Thanks for the work.
Thanks for that.
Hey, friends.
Hey.
It's like a support group, like, hi, my name is Chris. I'm also a boomeranger. I left and came back. And I also, extra points, brought my own focus group. My daughter recently graduated from high school, CV. So we talk a lot about college, and college isn't the only pathway. We talk about the trades, but with the ever-evolving like industries like AI, like how do we retain talent like her? She's taken the year to think about. Does she stay? Does she leave? I even said, if I leave and your mom leaves, would you stay? And she's like, maybe. She loves the shop, she loves the market, but she's on that fence. So then how do we retain the talent that's just coming out of high school and not necessarily college?
I don't know, we might not have answers to any of this too, but I just thought from your perspective of like.
The comment also that a very good presentation in spite of the mix-up on it. I think a lot of us, there's a common thread what we're saying, and it's sort of intangible, the lifestyle we have here, and trying to get that across. And what you're doing here does a good job of projecting that out. It's not just chamber-focused. But all of us have the same thread, I think, is what we're experiencing as adults is what makes Lancaster so interesting and a really unique place to live. And it's changed so much in the last 20 years. I keep saying over and over through Hourglass, a lot of people did a lot of good things that have gotten us to this point. And we should reference that a lot. And when you look at the range of people, from your daughter to retirees who are moving in, the range is phenomenal. So the more you can keep doing this, is a good way to go. And you touched upon it a little bit. I think if you could start talking about the housing shortage and how we're trying to address it, we're not just our head's not in the sand about it. We recognize it, and we know it's real.
Yep.
And Lancaster's just, as we all know, a great place to be. So thank you for the presentation.
2 comments on that. The house, it is, and I think a bit to our thing is, it's happening. Work is happening. We're working on it. We're also not alone in that across the country. So there's at least some level of like, it's not just here. That's not an excuse, but we in some of our commentary specifically around housing have said that like there is work being done around this. We're not head in the sand. We know it's an issue, and we're working on that challenge. And so I appreciate that commentary is the one we're hoping to get across, particularly to folks who live here and see this as like a potential barrier to bringing talent in. Is we know that, and we're going to keep kind of moving forward. The time is now to do all of that.
This is kind of an Hourglass plug, but a couple of years ago we had Tom Friedman come and talk, and that was really pivotal because he is, globally known, and he really picked Lancaster as being extremely unique, and he came back afterwards to learn more about Lancaster. So we should remember things like that, where someone of that level recognizes something that's unique about us.
Yeah.
So a little plug for that.
And I think the other thing, just to comment on yours, is this is a platform and a tangible thing you can now all use to be advocates for your experiences in Lancaster. That's the goal, right? We can tell the story, but it matters when it comes from every single one of us and our experiences and why we love it. And so this now gets the thing you get to point to, right? Like, you're not just saying move to Lancaster arbitrarily. You're saying move to Lancaster, and here's the reasons why I love it, and here's the reasons why you could love it. And so this gives us an opportunity, again, for some of the common language, but you guys are the advocates now, right? So how do we kind of continue to share your stories as part of that too?
Mike, share who Thomas Friedman is. Some of these people might not even know who Thomas Friedman is.
A fairly well-known reporter. He what he was doing specifically with us, he was looking globally for what makes some communities really work. And what was fascinating, it is global. And specifically, he came to Lancaster to talk. He had a new book he was pushing, but he's a well-known editorial writer, New York Times, highly regarded. But politics aside, he just saw a key catalyst in Lancaster. So, and everything we're all talking about touched to what he saw.
Well, and he liked the way Hourglass worked together, people on both sides of the issue, talking and working.
A side note is I actually brought him here from his home in D.C. So I brought him here, and he didn't know much about Lancaster, and I rode in the car when he went home. And he called his wife right away, and he was just excited about Lancaster. He said, I can't believe this is the place I've been looking for. And it was just a fascinating experience.
If you're on social, Strong Towns, I think, right? Strong Towns is the name of, I think, his book, and also just initiative and brand that he puts forward is called Strong Towns.
That is Chuck Marone.
He also came? Okay,
Chuck
that's what I'm
Marone
thinking of.
also
That's what
came
I'm
for the
thinking of then.
Hourglass.
That's also a good one, and similar messaging, I would say.
When Thomas Friedman was here,
sorry.
he was promoting Thank You for Being Late, I believe, which is a book about what happens in the pause when he had repeated experiences where people were late for coffee or whatever, and then he would kind of have an epiphany or really make headway with his work. So we have a few copies at the Hourglass office. That is all the time we have today. Can we just do a round of applause for our presenters? Thank you so much. I have a couple things I want to share with you all before you head out. I forgot to do this at the beginning, but I think it's important. If this is your first Hourglass forum, can you please raise your hand? Thank you for being here. We are digging in further to this topic in different ways. So there's a Listening to Lancaster episode that will be coming out. I'm actually talking to Ryan from EDC and Anna Ramos from the Workforce Development Board next week. So we're just going to continue having these conversations and hearing what it's going to look like in Lancaster. You can mark your calendars for the September First Friday Forum, September 5th. We're going to be hearing from Willow Valley on a couple of different updates. So that is kind of the progress that has been seen at Southern Market, and then also what we'll be seeing with the new construction of Mosaic. So that's what we'll be talking about in September. We have Chris here if anyone has questions. If you are not already an Hourglass member, please consider doing so. You can do so at our website. We have information about being a member on the way out. My business card is there as well. I would love to talk with you if that's something that you're interested in. And thank you all so much for your time. Have a great weekend.